Just kidding. No, we don't. Here
We are live. We are live. Hey, everybody. It's KTEE.
Hi, everybody. What?
You're just like off in La La Land again.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so welcome to the show. We are so excited because we never thought that we were going to get these guests for tonight, but here we are. So,
yeah, like at 3:30, everybody, at 3:30, Dellany goes, hey, let's get some guests for tonight. And I'm like, can you get somebody together in like 2 hours? And she said, yeah. And here we are. We have Emily and we have Tanya or Tanya? Tanya.
Emily
South. Yeah. It becomes Tanya, right? Dellany?
Yeah, I'm from the South, so it's Tanya. To me, it's Tanya.
Tanya Tucker. Tanya Tucker. But she's Tanya.
Tanya Tucker, that's from ageism. Did you know she won a Grammy last year?
Oh, did she really? I think she did. Right? What was it? Was it for a new album or what? Or just like?
Huh? Yeah, a new album that Brenda Carlisle actually produced.
Oh, sweet! Really?
Wow! Look at her.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know.
It's actually funny because like everybody put her to the side because of her age, and then she comes back and wins a Grammy. I'm like, yeah. We like to talk about ageism on this show, just so you guys know.
She was
okay. I'm gonna start.
Tanya Tucker. Do y'all know Tanya Tucker? Do you know who she is?
I do.
No. Okay. Who is she? She was like 50 when Emily was born. She's I just remember even when I was a kid though, I thought she was such a badass. Like I was like, this girl, yeah, I really liked her. Yeah, she seemed kind of on the wrong side of the track. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
Tanya Tucker?
Tanya Tucker, yeah. She's a country girl.
Oh, okay.
So I have a funny story for you. Literally was in love with the boy across the street. In love. I asked if I could borrow his ball. I lost his ball in our bushes, couldn't get it, ran in my house. I remember hearing the door knock and I was like, oh my God, it's going to be him. And I was so embarrassed. And it was. He asked my mom if Tanya Tucker was home. And I was like, oh my God. My heart broke. Just broke. Like he doesn't even right. But yeah, I was like, damn it, Tanya Tucker. Anyway, that's my association with I asked my mom who she was, and then I found out that's how I learned she was a country singer. I'm like, okay.
Got you.
He wasn't the brightest bulb. He was not the brightest bulb, I'll say that. But
you know what? A lot of them are.
Aw. Well, okay, so KT's doing social media, but we're just going to jump right in because I'm sure y'all are wondering who these fabulous women are. So who would like to start? Emily, Tanya?
Go, Emily. I'm curious.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself. Yeah.
Tell us about you, babe. Tell us about you.
So, hi, everyone. I'm Emily. I am a model and an actress. And I'm here in Los Angeles. Was doing the acting thing until COVID. But, and right now I started a YouTube channel because, you got to create no matter what. So, my YouTube is Emily Grace if you want to go subscribe.
Right on.
Yay! Wait, Emily, on Facebook, are you also Emily Grace? I know we're friends on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook's Emily Grace. Instagram is Emmeline.
Okay, no, I'm only asking Facebook because your Facebook page doesn't look like. Is that you? Is that your face? Is that your profile?
Let me see.
I might have another friend named Emily.
I should be like in a blue shirt. I haven't like changed my photo in years.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's like a blue shirt with red lips.
Oh, no, that's not who's coming up, girl.
Dellany, I thought we were friends.
We are friends.
Hey to Samuel, Danielle, Walter. Walter says, hey, Miss Dellany.
Hi, Walter. Oh my God, Walter from North Carolina. He's good people. Well, yes, Emily. Yeah, Emily is an amazing. You just did a commercial, right? A few months ago. You modeled.
Yes.
Model for.
Okay, yeah. So it was for like a woman like multivitamin brand called Ray. You can find it on Target. You could also go to rayforwellness.com. They have like hydrolonic acid drops. If you need like collagen, they have that too. So just beauty, inner beauty. It's all about inner beauty. So I did a commercial for that.
I'm gonna be that girl. Do they have vegan? Is it vegan or is it or do they use animal products?
I believe it's vegan, but don't quote me on it. I'm not quite sure.
Got you. Okay. But don't quote her on it. She's just the face of it. She's just the space, not the.
I was just a model, but yeah,
that's what they all say. I was just a model.
I was just a model. Yes.
I can actually check right now. Yeah.
It's like, it sucks though, because they do this all the time. They show the model and look at Emily, right? And they're like, you could look like this if you take our products. And then you talk to Emily and she's like, I don't know, like what?
Worst. I don't know, but you should buy it though.
You should buy it.
So big hi to Hamza's here, and we have Jessica, who's always in our house.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. All right, so Miss Tanya, it is your turn, Miss Creative Producer.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tanya. Originally from Santa Barbara. That is my hometown, repping. Born and raised. I am a creative producer and I work on marketing campaigns in the industry. So I work on television, theatrical campaigns to help promote shows. And I also write and want to get into directing. That's going to be next, and working on a short film. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Dellany, look. Dellany just left.
Dellany's like, bye.
He's like, oh, I get a chance. I'm not on this team. This is what I do it. This is ADHD at its finest. Dellany just leaves in the middle of a show. I don't know what she's doing.
That's hilarious.
I was here for the whole thing, and Tanya was talking, and I was listening. But my laptop's dying, and I don't want it to die, so I got this. Like,
wait a second. Wait. Time out. Will you please put up that laptop? Will you put up your laptop plug again, please? I need to see that.
Oh wait, what
is that? Duct tape? Is that duct tape?
Yeah.
No, right there.
Wait.
No, it looked like it was like duct tape together.
Electric tape.
Never mind.
Actually, it depends on the charger. Wrong charger, but yes.
Oh, Lord. Anyway. So, Tanya, so I wanted to ask you something. Tanya. Dang it. I'm going to get it.
That's all right.
I'm going to get it. I kept calling Dellany Delaney for years. Me? Yes. I'm from the South.
Okay. Yeah, that's why. It's okay. It's all right.
Listen, Tanya, it's Florida. It can't be helped. It's Florida.
Shut up, North Carolina. I don't know why we do this. I wanted to ask you, how has this affected you? Because I was talking to somebody the other day. We're all in the movie industry. Marketing campaigns, a lot of things had to be put on hold because they weren't going theatrical, or it had to be crazily changed because the strategy went from theater to online. So kind of let the audience know what's going on in that world.
How's it affecting the industry?
Yeah. So as soon as COVID hit, I was one of the first to be like, I'm going to work from home now. And we, all production stopped. So are you guys hearing feedback?
No.
Yeah, by the way. Okay.
I'm not.
I can hear slide.
I'll mute myself. I can mute myself.
That's okay. As long as I'm not annoying you guys. We were really close to doing a photo shoot for a TV show that was going to be launched on Peacock. And then another show that we were prepping for, and it all stopped. All production stopped. So when production stops, marketing for the most part stops, because if we this particular show that we had been working on, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Actually, yeah, I can say it. We were working on Saved by the Bell. So there was one key.
Saved by the Bell.
Yes, right. So there was one key pairing that they hadn't shot yet, and they were literally going to shoot them that week, and they were using that couple, the OG couple, to help promote the show, to get the OG demographic and viewers back in. They had to stop down, and they had to they had a whole new launch date for the show. Everything changes. What we work is called key art. So that art that we shoot then is used on your billboards, your buses that go by, magazine ads, print ads. So if we don't have the right people in our shots, we can't do anything with it. So all marketing campaigns came to a stop. All shows, theatrical releases stopped down, and that obviously we have nothing to promote anymore. We were fortunate, the agency that I work at, we had just gone through a merger where we also work on traditional advertising. So we are working on like hospital ads and that sort of thing. So entertainment wise, that's almost non-existent. Although there is one show coming up on TBS that I did just finish that we're helping promote. That is a quarantine show. So TBS came up with an interesting way of doing this. So basically it's going to be television shows, celebrities from different walks of life, influencers or whatever. They're going to be competing with how many viewers and likes they get. So do whatever outlandish thing they want to do. Wow. And then every week you tune in to TBS and watch who gets voted off. So that's the only thing I know of right now that's in the works for a quarantine-like situation, and we were able to use just PR shots. So other than that, they had to be really creative, kind of pull things from the crates, or just stop down altogether. So
yeah. So what do you think? Do you think this new theater on demand is going to hurt the industry or help the industry?
I don't know. It's going to be so interesting. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how they're able to do this. When you say theater on demand, you mean like
so basically it's going right to us on iTunes for $19.99. We still have to pay a big old ticket price. Yeah. But I mean, if you think about that, like let's say you take your family to Trolls and you have 2 kids and you and your husband or you and your wife or whatever. Let's say that's $20. Let's say you and the 2 adults, 20, that's 40. And then let's say the kids are 10 and 10. So that's another 20, 40, 60. So that's $60. Okay. Yeah. Then if they just do it on demand for rental of $19.99, that's $20. So that's a big gap of losing money, Oh, yeah. Because even with online, you still have a third-party aggregator. Like the theater's a third party, they take their little piece. Your distributor takes their piece, but we still have that. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. People want things now. The Netflix thing, they want the whole thing now. Yeah. But I still think
they have enough content to still sort of work with. Like if they use whatever they were able to shoot right before COVID happened, you're good. Right. But you've got to get really creative now on how you're going to market those shows. Because if you think about it, even when you turn on your Netflix, you turn on your, Hulu, there's still those little squares, right, that hold our pictures of Emily and our, whatever we're promoting. And you have to shoot it, you have to comp it, and you know what I mean? And then you have to concept it. Right. And so that's where it's going to be interesting, because if you can't do photo shoots anymore, how are you going to sell this story marketing wise? So it's kind of interesting. It's going to be an interesting challenge to see what we do and how we do, especially with the new restrictions. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen some of the some friends of mine who are ADs shared with me some of the on-set restrictions that are coming through, and it is. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know.
I think this is going to be a good time for the indie world.
I do too. I think there's going to be more of a leverage. There's going to be more of a balance now. I think the big time Hollywood is going to come down and indies rising up. And there's going to be so much more of an equality going on because of that. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the bigger fishes are looking at the smaller fishes to see like what we are doing. How are we doing it? And then they want to figure out how to make it better. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So they're basically taking our ideas and then making it shinier.
Yep. Yeah.
So Emily, how has all this affected you? Emily, how has all of this affected you and how you work every day?
Listen, up until maybe, maybe just a few days ago, auditions now, my agent has been blowing me up being like, hey, self-submit. I had to do 2 yesterday and I had to do a callback today. And they seem to be like, okay, let's go. But at the same time, it's like, if you've been on set, there's so many people. And it's kind of like, okay, but what exactly are you going to do to protect me, to protect you. There's so many people. They're not just the actors. There's the crew, the people who do the camera equipment, who attach things together, and then there's craft services and all the people that help. It's so huge, even for just to make a 30-second commercial. It's huge. So it's just kind of like, they're kind of like, yeah, get back in the game, and then you're kind of like, okay, but like, listen. And also, it's just like it's been months now. People haven't been acting. There hasn't been things being produced, and it's just kind of like, okay, but like, what? We're getting back into it, and I get it. Like, we need to stimulate the economy and all that stuff, but it's like, okay, but like, what are the protections for me?
Because
like, I don't want to do.
The actors are usually at the bottom. They don't really, you know, so they don't really care.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I was filming a lady yesterday that's on General Hospital. So she's on that soap opera. They've been black for 3 months. And they're thinking about August. They're not sure. But what we had a discussion about, what's really big in soap operas? Love scenes and kissing. And how are they going to, she's like, oh, this is what we're going to do. Which would be like, hey, I like you. Hey, I like you. All right, bye. But I mean, there's a lot of drama.
Yeah. Well, I think like we're going to see more like intimacy, like where they aren't facing each other anymore.
Maybe it'll just be a lot of tension now, like tension.
Yeah.
Or like, has anybody ever seen I Love Trouble with Nick Nolte and Julia Roberts?
I remember it, but I don't think I saw it.
Okay, so most of that was shot where it was like body doubles because they hated each other so much. I said that's what's going to happen. There's going to be like the actors are not going to be in the same room. It's going to look like they are. You won't know it in editing, but they're not going to be in the same room. They're not going to have each other to act off of. You know, especially some of the, when I say prima donnas, the bigger, higher priced people. But I mean, even if you look at what was the Fast and the Furious, that's a huge movie where Vin Diesel and The Rock weren't really meshing together, and there's scenes together of them, but they weren't actually in the same scene as being shot. They weren't on the set at the same time. So I think it's going to be really funny how they shoot. I mean,
we might see a couple different things. Obviously, CGI will amp up. And we don't know if it's real or not, right? With CGI, we could see like, I bet you now there's going to be more of a need for androids, like real androids.
Oh my God.
Because they already exist, but now they're going to be in the market where they're going to make them look like you would like really real. And then a real actor can make out with an android.
Here's my thing. I'm going to tell you guys, because I'm on Melrose. So let me tell you this situation that happened a couple of weeks ago when the National Guard was here. So everything's boarded up. It looks very post-apocalyptic. You've got the National Guard, and I think is it Amazon that has those little robots that are roaming? It was kind of like, there's these little robots that deliver things. You haven't seen those?
Yeah,
no.
There's like these little robots going up and down Melrose delivering stuff to houses with this like post-apocalyptic boarding up and National Guard, and I'm like, am I in Blade Runner? Am I in Blade Runner? What's going on?
Yeah.
That's where we're headed, y'all. That's where we're headed. Get used to it. But you know what? The good news is that a lot of the creepsters will leave us alone now. It'll be.
I don't know. My Ring app is showing a lot of creepers creeping around at night around my neighborhood. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like just weird, going up to random people's doors and just like hanging or like waving. It's like weird.
What?
That is very weird.
Get on the Ring app. Have you ever get on the Ring app? It's called The Neighbor, and it'll tell you what's going. People who have Ring apps will it'll say, oh, somebody just like broke into my car, or like some random guy, came up to my door. It's like creepy. It's like, oh, maybe I need to move.
Oh no.
The east side's where it's at, right? The east side.
That's right. Okay. I don't have anything but fireworks.
The fireworks.
So much fireworks over there.
Do you have fireworks where you are, Emily?
Well, I'm back in the suburbs, but so really the only fireworks that really go off is like 4th of July, or if someone's like a really big Dodger fan and they won. But when I used to live in like Northeast Los Angeles in Glendale Park. Oh my God. Every birthdays, fireworks, a celebration, fireworks, like anything that was happy, boom, fireworks.
I know, my cable works. Fireworks.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well, we have M80s. Is that what they're called, Tanya? M80s?
I think really loud cannon sounding, like.
Yeah. Like, I think they're called M80s, and I'm sure there's going to be some guy on here who's going to, like, mansplain to me that that's not the right word. But anyway, the point is that it sounds like we're on a battlefield. And it's practically everything.
It sounds like gunshots, and the dogs are always pissed off at night.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Emily, in our neighborhood, because me and Tanya live near each other, in our neighborhood, it's every night. For today night, it's 93, right? Day 93. It's been since quarantine started. So
why did they do that? I don't get the fireworks. What does it mean?
Oh my God.
Did you hear? Oh, it means that, well, in theory, they were saying it was to celebrate the healthcare providers during this difficult time. Right. But I think it's because they want to just be jerks and super loud.
One day is fine, but they need to. I know 3 of us have dogs. Emily, do you have a dog?
I don't at the moment. I want one. I actually want like 3.
So the worst thing that you can do is have fireworks go off with dogs.
Oh,
especially
I bet.
Dogs that have anxiety. I have rescue dogs that have anxiety. So all night. Actually, we had fireworks going off at like 2 o'clock in the morning the other day. And helicopters flying over. And I'm like,
they must have been so scared.
Yeah.
It's so bad. But in our neighborhood, Tanya, did you see on Nextdoor that they said that a dog had a heart attack and died from this?
No,
did you?
No, I didn't see that.
2 nights ago. Like, it's so sad. Like, people, I think actually now that has happened, people are starting to be more serious. It's like, but it took a dog like to die.
No.
My little one is definitely anxiety driven. He's always walking around with his little tail underneath his you know how he's like that, and I'm like, oh, and I give him little like I have herbal calming pills, but it doesn't work for him. Nothing works. Remember that stuff I gave your dog and she like passed out? Doesn't work on him.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. Whatever that was, it was great.
Do you want to go into the first topic for tonight?
Yeah. Do we have an order? I didn't even talk about the order. Like, do we just
tell me what you want to talk about, and I'll put it up.
I heard that maybe some people in this group went to the march on Sunday. I want to talk about the All Black Lives Matter march.
Yes.
Who went?
Let's talk about it.
I didn't. Okay, so I didn't go on Sunday. I went to the one the Friday before. Yeah.
I was still in my own private quarantine. It was my 14th day, so I didn't go. But Emily, did you go? Did you
quarantined? No, I was in quarantine. I'm at my mom's house right now, so I have to.
She's not going to let you out. Yeah, she's like, you're staying here.
I mean, she would, but because obviously, like, she would be like, I'd rather you get corona, like, fighting for people's lives than you know going to a bar getting like passed out drunk.
Exactly.
But I have to be careful, like, where I go, what groups, just because I don't want to bring it to my mom, who's obviously older than me and is at the high risk, you know. So
and not to get,
I have to be careful, but
not to get too personal, but doesn't your mom work in healthcare too, or something, or does she work?
No, my mom she works for government officials.
Oh,
but she's been working from home since quarantine or self-isolation happened. But still, gotta be careful because I love my moms.
That's right. We love our mommies and our dogs too.
Mama Thomas and Mama P might be on tonight. We don't know. So I think my mama got mad at me because we talked politics earlier, so she might not be talking to me.
Oh, did she?
No.
Oh no. Well, my mama doesn't have internet, so she's not going to be on here either.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have to get this show so your mom can see it. But I want to go back to the protest.
Go to the protest. Let's talk about it.
Because I went this weekend. Because it was right here. You know, it was down and it was planned. So I was trying to keep up to go to one of them. I went to one the other day, but I had the dogs with me, and when they were walking down Santa Monica, I went up and was like waving and everything. But I decided to go to this one. Yes, there was 30,000 plus people. But we really, a lot of people were social distancing. Like I was on my bike. I live around the Santa Monica, Fairfax area. So I started there on my bike and drove it down. and kind of stayed. I didn't, I very much social distance because I do have people that are around me that are immune compromised. But I felt like, number one, it was all Black Lives Matter, and I've been waiting for that. Dellany knows that I'm all about all Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
In the community. And I felt it was really important. And one thing I want to, I was here because I was here when the Pan Pacific turned into a riot and looting. And all I have to say is that one had a lot of cops at it, and it was actually much smaller. This one, I didn't see a cop the whole time I was driving. I was on my bike, and it was very peaceful. And when it was over, it was very peaceful too. Everybody was just like, "Okay, it's over, time to go." You know what I mean? It wasn't. Yeah. It kind of showed you that sometimes maybe we can self-police ourselves. Especially, I know in this neighborhood, we're very much well known for being very inclusive and very much loving and trying. The reason I did move to the West Hollywood area is because we take care of everybody. The older people there's rent control. The LGBT community is very much helped. But also it's clean. Now that's why I was like, wow, I can't believe we were hit really hard with the looting and the rioting. I was like, whoa, how did that happen? But I really, after going through this big, huge protest without cops, I can see why it can happen. Because I know that one was peaceful. The Pan Pacific Park protest was very peaceful because I had friends that were there. And it only turned violent when the police started hitting people with batons. So that kind of showed stuff. You know what I mean? And I do want to tell you this too. I come from a police family. My dad was a correctional officer. I grew up around the FOP. I've been around cops my whole life. I dated cops. I understand it. And the one thing that we actually have talked about that the cops I know is the biggest problem is the fact that they're not trained like they used to be. The training for a cop now is less hours than it is for my sister who is a hairdresser to get her license to do hair. And that's a big problem. That's where I think, we need to do some training. And I also was talking to somebody the other day. I was watching old Law because I was like, oh my God, my favorite show is Law and Order SVU. And I actually, if you go back to older seasons, they're kind of really rough with different people that they are arresting. Chasing. Even Mariska. Yeah, and chasing. It's ingrained. And it's I'm like, as the season got long, as there's more seasons, they start, but it just goes to show you, that's where it starts too. Is when you see it, that's one of the biggest shows there is. And all of the Law and Order were on. Yeah. So what do you guys think of that?
Basically, they thought they were getting trained cops on set, probably to train them, and those cops aren't even trained appropriately.
Yeah. I feel like they have a very militarized style, as in shoot now, ask questions later, type of approach, and that has to change.
But only to people of color. Only to people of color, to be clear.
Clearly only to people of color, because a guy can come after a white guy can yell at an officer with an axe and not get shot and somehow walk away. But God forbid you sleep in your car at a Wendy's.
Yeah. Did you see?
You pay with the $20 bill.
Everybody, there's a video of a white man who's swinging an axe at several police officers, and not once. And he is getting them right by their face, he's grazing them. And not once did any of them pull out a gun. Not once. Yeah.
Or and then talk about school shooters, how they get escorted out with a bulletproof vest, and it's
yeah. Oh, totally. I also saw one where, because somebody was trying the other day, and of course on Facebook we have Karens that we all know, and we are still friends with. We don't know why, but we are. But someone was arguing that the man, is it Reynolds? Is it Reynolds or his first name? Richard, sorry. I'm getting his last name. Yeah, I just hybrid that. So Richard, someone was like, well, I would have been worried too if there'd been someone in a car. And I'm like, like that, but you don't call the police. Like, knowing what we all know now, I'm never going to call the police on anybody.
It's like,
you know,
we don't call the police for someone like you for sleeping. You go about your business. And even then, like, I heard like he was like parked in the drive-through of the Wendy's or something. You can call a tow truck and they could tow it, put it in a parking. Like, there are other ways, it's other ways.
That's why defunding the police, I mean, some people get so freaked out by those words, defund, because they think we're saying, like, get rid of them. It's kind of like...
they think they mix it with abolish.
Yeah. And it's funny, too, because I feel like we're having the same argument we have with people who still are confused with Black Lives Matter, because they have to say all lives matter. This is the same thing. They think it's all or nothing, and it's not, you know? But there's definitely other services and organizations who are prepared that would be better service for this, because the answer is not a gun. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
for real.
Yeah. And also, speaking of the money, like KT was mentioning earlier with the training, a lot of people will go, oh, well, there's not enough money that's going into training. But we know, even in Los Angeles, it's a multi-billion-dollar budget for the LAPD, right? It's multi-billion. And if they can't be properly trained on a multi-billion-dollar budget, they're just not going to be. So let's bring it down.
All I have to say is they should take half the money and give it to teachers. My mom's a teacher, too, just so you guys know.
Yes.
Like, the amount of money that a teacher gets compared to what they give to police officers and for training and for armor and all that, compared to what a teacher who has to put out their own money to go get any supplies for their students. And I have my mom's a teacher, my cousin's a teacher. I grew up around teachers. You know, I know how much they spend on their students. And I think all teachers should be making double. And then we take that money out of what we give the police in each community. Just my thing.
But
that's my.
But to that note, I think we also, there's a number of like things in that are systemically like racist. Education, our public education is one of them. Mm-hmm. We don't learn about slavery. We don't learn about the Holocaust. There's like a number of things that I can remember growing up and thinking I had no idea. I didn't know that there were even other religions. And maybe things have changed since I was a kid, but I didn't even know I went to school with Jewish kids until I literally ran into one who had his little yarmulke on. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I thought he was Mexican like me. It was a trip. And I was so bummed because I wanted to learn about other people's religions. I wanted to learn how other people, live their life, celebrate their gods, who they pray to, who they don't pray to. And I think it's interesting because 100% education is so key. And I think we do need to put more money towards that. And our teachers 100%. But I also think what we're teaching our kids is really important. And what age we think is, appropriate. But honestly, if you are a Black woman, you have to teach your child at a young age how to survive in this world. So it's not like, how much are we protecting them really? Like it's time to open up and re-examine even just what we're teaching and the agendas.
The Hate U Give. That's why I love that movie that I think went too under the radar, but The Hate U Give that came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The Hate U Give. I mean, they open with the parents teaching the children, like, this is what you have to do if you're stopped by a police officer. And these kids are babies. And also, I do believe that, and I hate that it's taking so much to get white people on board, but I do think that we are seeing, and I'm not giving anyone credit, I'm just telling you what's happening. We're seeing a growth in white parents who are teaching their white children about their white privilege. It actually is happening. Still not enough. It's still going to take a long, but I feel that at least I'm hearing that's happening now. So it's a start. It's something, Yeah. I'm very hopeful for Gen Z. Like, are they Gen Z if they're babies? Are the babies Gen Z? I don't know.
What even is that? No, I think that
Gen Z. I think that Gen Z's they came after millennials, right? Or is there something between Gen Z and millennials?
No, Gen Z. It's X-Gen or Boomers, X-Gen, millennials, Gen Z, and then is there anything?
What's the next one? What's the next? Because there's a next one.
I don't know.
If Matt was on here, he would know. He's obsessed with that stuff.
There's no more letters in the alphabet.
Who names them though? Like, who is there like an already like pre-list of what to call the next generation, or do they just feel like, oh?
We're out of letters.
I don't know. I feel like maybe we can make one up and just start it. Let's see. There's so much bias in education, and a large part of it comes through filtering the important lessons that the U.S. educational system is simply not teaching. So, Hunter, okay, cool.
Yes, that's my best friend, Nor.
Oh, hey.
Well, I just want to say something.
Not the best friend.
Dellany wanted me to tell you this story that I had. I was talking to somebody today, or she wanted me to tell the whole audience because we were talking about all life matter between all Black lives matter. And I was trying to tell somebody that's a baby boomer that is very much, well, it's all Black, all lives matter. All lives matter. Don't, you know what I mean? And I was saying, I said, well, here's something. Because I said, I sat down with my friends and I had the discussion, and that's why I changed my mind and said, this is true. I said, a few weeks back, I'm sitting in my car, and when all this started, and I am just sitting there, and this gentleman, this Black gentleman comes and walks by, and my first thought in my head was to lock the door. Now, this is because that's how I was ingrained, and I caught myself. I've never caught myself before thinking like that, and I caught myself going, "This is the problem right here. This is it." And he actually, when we were talking about it, he understood it, why now it's different from all lives matter to all Black lives matter, which was really a good thing, because I said, hey, this is my thinking. And you know how liberal I am, you have to understand that right now, this is the time for the Black lives, just like there was a time for women when we couldn't vote, and it was like all women's lives matter, so there's a time and a place for everybody. And right now it's this time, because it is really sad seeing multiple videos back to back of people senselessly getting killed. That's just, it's like senseless.
Right. But I just even hate that, like, I'm ashamed to say that our country, we're in 2020 and we're saying like, yeah, now's the time for this. It's been past time. And like, even talking about Juneteenth, which is another topic we're going to be talking about. Juneteenth is finally being acknowledged in some states in the country as a national holiday. But I was today years old, not really today years old, but I didn't learn until maybe I moved to Los Angeles that Juneteenth was even a thing. I had no idea. Like, this was never taught in school, and I had to learn it out here. You know what I mean? As a grown woman.
Still kind of not taught in school either. Like I went to school my whole life here in Los Angeles, and I had to learn I had to learn about my African American history from my mom off school property, off school hours, like doing my homework assignment, my mom being like, well, actually what really went down was, and because it wasn't taught. They just kind of, it's the same, vanilla statement of quotes from Martin Luther King and the Rosa Parks story, the basicness of it. And then they're like, oh, okay, Black History Month done. And it's like, there's so much more to that. And there's a lot of dark history, but there's also a lot of rich history that we're completely missing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was also today years old. Speaking of Rosa Parks, there was a young woman before Rosa Parks who did the same thing that Rosa Parks did, where she sat at the front of the bus. The reason why she wasn't the face of what Rosa Parks ended up being is because she was an unmarried Black woman. She was unmarried and pregnant. Sorry, she was pregnant. So I should have put that in there. She's unmarried and pregnant. And so she did it before Rosa, but nobody wanted to talk about it because she was pregnant and not married. And that was a scandal in itself. So, busted. Wow. Busted. But like I don't want to know any more about Christopher Columbus. Like, that's dumb.
Oh my God.
Not to mention what we do know about Christopher Columbus, and what we are taught about Christopher Columbus was also twisted and wrong. Because
lies. We've been lied to. White America.
Right.
Let's see. Noir. Is it Noir? Do we say Noir? Is it Noir or
Noir? Yeah, like Noir.
Noir. Okay. It's a glorified version that fits the requirement, and that concept is frankly angry. Well, hey, like KT said, if we paid the teachers more, they would probably teach us more. Like, I don't like. It's like.
But isn't it true? Teachers have to follow. What do they call it?
Curriculum.
A curriculum, and that curriculum is dictated by who? Isn't it not like the event, like the education,
the government,
right? Handed down. They're restricted on what they can teach. I had a friend who taught in the Mission District in San Francisco, and even in San Francisco, where you can be extremely liberal. I mean, that was one of the first places that I saw Indigenous Day, and I hugged the parking meter because they don't celebrate Columbus Day up there. They were celebrating, Indigenous Day. And I remember just hugging the parking meter, like there is a place where this exists. So yay for San Francisco. But even there, they are restricted on the curriculum. So the curriculum needs to change, and it needs, again,
100%.
The academy and what's going on there, everything needs to be restructured. We need to re-examine it, and all people need to sit at that table. No one person should own that table. Education, Hollywood, you go through it, the police department, it needs to all be broken and rebuilt with
absolutely.
I think people don't realize it's a trickle-down effect.
If we're the generation here that broke the systems, I will die happy knowing that at least we've done something. It may not all be fixed, you know what I mean? But man,
totally,
you're at that place. We're just like, we're cracking through. I've
been seeing, I don't know, I think it was I'm on TikTok a lot, but I think it was TikTok that was saying, you know what, parents and grandparents, you raised us on Hunger Games. You raised us on Harry Potter. What did you expect? Of course we're going to fight back. Of course we're going to do a revolution. This is what we know. This is the
it's true.
Well, okay, let's go back to Juneteenth. So, as you know, New York is the latest state to declare Juneteenth a national holiday. So, Governor Andrew, is it Cuomo? I always say his last name wrong. Danielle Marie. Yeah, he did that, and I feel like he's winning in a lot of political areas lately. He's doing well, right? Like, I always see positive headlines with him, but he's trying.
Hey, Dellany, really quick. Can you have us playing on your laptop? Do you hear that? I hear it.
I think it's.
I was just. Did everybody else? Oh, okay. No, don't put it on mute. Put your.
I was like, did she freeze?
Serious, and then we're like, I was just hearing you echoing over yourself, so I was just trying to fix that.
I don't know. I didn't do anything different. Maybe my phone's getting tired of hearing me. Am I still echoing?
No.
Am I still echoing? Okay.
I think it's okay now.
Anyway, so Juneteenth is like a hybrid of June 19th. And basically, I guess Texas was the origin of this, right? Am I right, guys?
No, Texas was the last place. Well, yes, the origin of June 19th. Yes. Juneteenth.
Correct. Because it still took a few years after the Civil War, right? The Civil War, it still took like 3 or 4 years or something. Somebody fact check me because I know. Yeah. And then in Texas, they were slower because they didn't have, they didn't have to do. Exactly. But
joke. Yes.
That's where Juneteenth comes from, because I didn't know I was today years old when I learned that, they actually took Black slaves there because they knew that things were going to get busted for them. Thousands and thousands of Black slaves.
I think even after Lincoln had proclaimed, the emancipated slavery, it still takes a while for it to ratify, right? So there were 2 years. In that 2-year period where word was slowly getting out, Texas being the last one, there were still like 200,000 Black men who were still enlisting to fight, which I think is crazy.
Crazy on the front lines.
People that were free, and no one told them. You know what I mean? It took 2 years to get the word out. As I was saying, text messages would have made huge difference back then. Thank God we live now. But
pigeons. The messenger pigeons. Get one of them.
So why do you think, I'm surprised that California, we don't have instilled this yet? Like, what's going on, California is supposed to be more progressive. So I'm a little.
We don't even acknowledge the Latin community most of the time, which I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how progressive we think California is, in a lot of things we are not. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
we're progressive, but we have a long ways to go still. And
I do think, and I've heard through the grapevine, if anybody wants to pipe up, but some businesses and some companies in California are doing that, but they're making that personal decision for their business. Yeah,
But
so it is happening.
Our company announced it today. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
that's so awesome.
I think it should have been happening, but I mean, I'm glad to see it now.
Yeah.
You know,
Did
I
you
feel like
guys
it should have been.
It took the pressure of this civil rights movement, what's happening right now, to make them
For them to-
re-examine it. And I mean, we're talking hot seats. These men were squirming at my agency, squirming. I was starting to tell Dellany that we had a conversation. Is it okay if I share this? Are we?
I've been wanting you to. I've been manifesting this because I can't. I was like, say it. Tell them what you did. Yes.
Oh no, it's amazing that this all came together. So last Monday, I want to say it was Monday, if not the Monday before that, when everything went down at the Grove. It's called the Pan Pacific Riot. Is that what they're calling it?
That's where the protest started, at the Pan Pacific Park. Yes.
Right. So I was watching in real time, just, hey, some of the things that were happening on Instagram Live, which again, wow, power to the people, right? In the people's hands. That whole weekend, just inundated with videos. The following Monday, we have to go to work. I'm sitting here at my computer and I'm shaking. And all day, like I get the shivers when I'm overwhelmed. My body just can't handle it. There's so many things to process. I had friends who were out there protesting, and I kept texting, are you home? Are you, like, I'm hearing this. We've got, Dellany can attest, I don't even know, Dellany, if you knew this, but that one of the chases that went right down our street. And my neighbors came out.
I didn't know that.
That pursuit that happened, right? So it was the police came screeching down our street, at least 5 of them. My neighbors all came out, and through our windows, we're giving each other the thumbs up, like, we're okay, are you okay? So it was one of those things where it was like, here we are, I'm also trying to work. And I thought, oh, this will be a great distraction. It was not. I literally just, the minute any kind of deadline popped up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm shaking. I get a phone call from my direct supervisor just checking on me. And we started talking. And at the end of the day, we have it every day around 5 o'clock, we have a regroup. And I'm like, guys, why hasn't our company taken a stand? We haven't said anything. There's been any acknowledgement of this. My dog is squeaking toys in the background. Sorry. Something to say.
We are dog friendly. We don't care.
Good. He's really into it. So come end of day Monday, it just so happened that one of my coworkers, when I brought this up, said she had been trying to and even helped write a statement for our agency to say, this is where we stand. We all were just baffled that there was no stand at all. Black Lives Matter, nothing. Mm-hmm. So come Tuesday morning, I had just happened to I was fired up. I had just happened to reach out to one of my Black coworkers and just say, hey, like, I meant to check on you yesterday. What's going on? Where are you at? Are you okay? Do you need anything? And her response, I can't even get into it. Some of the things that I was hearing, people joking about the looting, anyone get any new shoes? And these are coming from high up executives on Zoom calls. Anyone get any new shoes over the weekend? Like, oh my God. So about a half an hour later, we get an intro to a Zoom meeting, and it's 250 plus people. Everyone I noticed everyone made a point of putting their video on. We have weekly all hands meetings, and we all just leave our profile up, like whatever, we'll just listen and then we're out. This one, everyone was at attention. And It was like, hey guys. So mind you, one of the emails that I saw was, we are monitoring things. And I just thought, wait, what do you mean we're monitoring things? Like, what's the holdup on this? So Tuesday comes along, we jump on this Zoom, and I introduced myself because it felt like it was very much going into a business as usual Zoom. This is a safe space. This is a place for us just to talk about what's going on, right? And I get this Slack from one of my coworkers. I'm confused. What is this meeting? And I said, I don't know, so I'm going to ask. And I literally took my mute off and I was like, hey, introduce myself. And I directed my question at whoever wanted to represent our agency. And I said, please, to whoever, I want to know why we haven't, as an agency, taken a stand. Where do we stand? And it was like, it was this uncomfortable reaction. First, I had the VP respond with, well, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And I was like, no,
we're going to talk about it now.
No. We need to talk about this now. We're experiencing it now. So then he got snarky. The VP was like, well, I don't even know who you are. cool, I'm going to tell you who I am. So I introduced myself. I am Mexican Puerto Rican. I am a minority. I work for your company. I literally have police going down my streets. My best friend in Hollywood has pepper bullets spray. And I could see 200 people, just like their heads were nodding, like, yes, yes. And I could see there was somewhat of an engagement. So I said, so this matters to me. This is an agency I work for. I helped you get a huge account that involved all minorities. I had to put together a diverse portfolio, and I had to put together a blurb about our diversity here. So why can't we in turn say to our Black coworkers and our brown coworkers, I'm with you?
Right.
And his response, so the president then said of the company, said, I'd like to answer that. But basically by saying, I'm so passionate about it that I just figured I wouldn't say anything at all. And that was it.
No.
They unleashed.
That's a cop-out.
To my company's credit, they went in hard on this man. I hit mute. That was
good.
It. And everyone just, and I was impressed. I was getting Slacks messages, text messages. My phone was dinging. My chats were going off. And I didn't even realize it was one of those moments where this was not prepared. This was just off the cuff. Like, dude, this is affecting all of us, especially our Black coworkers. You are profitizing off of Black coworkers and your Black employees, as well as celebrities that are Black. I know because I made our diversity portfolio. So it was just one of those things where it was like they didn't have a response. They kept pushing, like, apparently, and this is another topic that I think is interesting, diversity and inclusion panels are being put together in larger organizations. They consist of white people.
White people.
And even after the Zoom call, there was a girl who contacted them directly and said, hey, can we talk about this diversity council? And they said, yeah, do you want to be a part of it? And she goes, I'm white. I'm white. Like, no, I don't think it's getting through. Like, so there's a lot of work to be done, but I will say we got that Friday off to go be engaged in our community or reflect. So we chose to march. And that's when we went to Breonna Taylor's birthday in West Hollywood, which was life-changing. And then they agreed to match contributions. Again, I was like, right on. And then as of this morning, they were like, and by the way, you have Juneteenth off. I honestly feel like they just learned about it yesterday. We're like, oh, there's an opportunity. Yeah, let's do this. And we're like, cool. I mean, we're going to be working till late tonight and tomorrow night to catch up on our deadlines. But it helped. It was a level of discomfort. In fact, the VP even said, I'm getting text messages right now that say this conversation is very uncomfortable. And I didn't have to say anything. So many people jumped in and said, this has to be uncomfortable. This is embarrassing that we haven't said anything. And I was like, whoa. I was so encouraged to see how the company came together to basically go, no, you messed up. And he admitted it. He goes, obviously I messed up. Yeah. So it was an amazing experience. It was even more amazing to see the positive results. And that's just it. You have to shake it up. You have to, and I didn't even think about it till I got a phone call from the president of the company thanking me for my bravery. I didn't consider it brave until I realized, I guess I could have gotten fired for that because I literally called up the company. But at the same time, it needed to be said. And it's like now credit to my best friend, Dara, who's like, if you are a minority, if you are anyone of any disenfranchised group, now is the time to speak. Now, now, because we all have each other's backs, So that was my story.
Woo!
What went down?
Katniss Everdeen has been real quiet ever since you shared your story. So Tanya Everett she's in the building. I'm telling you, like, I'm so impressed. No, I'm impressed by that.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, they are clueless. And usually when someone's passionate about something, they don't stay quiet about it. So that's dumb.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought was interesting is he did say, and honestly, it was our little department, our little print that we're called department. Every single woman from our department spoke up, and everyone said that after, like, you guys are some badass women. Everyone did. I opened the gates. Let me put it that way. I kicked the gate open, and everyone was like, "Okay, cool. Unmute, unmute, unmute." But one of the things that guys said, well, anyone who knows me, this is what the president said. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not racist, right? And my coworker, our production manager, literally said, "Hi." She never speaks on these Zooms. She never even comes to them. She goes, "We don't know who you are. So if we don't know you, how are we to know? Not much less the world." And you have to understand, we work with the NFL. We work with ESPN. We work with some huge accounts that we know could risk it. So I asked him, is that what you're afraid of? Are you afraid of losing your Super Bowl seats? Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. One of my Black coworkers literally said, I don't want to work for a company that is begging for business from a company that doesn't want to work with me. And I thought, whoa, shit. Sorry. That's the real talk right there. You know what I mean? You're profitizing off of the Black culture.
Yeah.
So why are you standing up for the Black culture?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Real time.
We got some church up in here. This is church. I am like just, woo. That is all real talk. And it is true, like the profiting of all the businesses and companies off of Black culture.
Like, yet they don't want to speak on any Black issues.
Yep.
Do you want to go into our next topic of profiting? This one?
Let's do it.
Oh, yes. So
I think we lost Dellany.
No, this is true too, because all of those people who are also no longer on, this earth, whose Aunt Jemima was based on, and Uncle Ben was based on, they did not see any reparations from the likeness of their image and how they were used. So, am I'm echoing again?
Yeah.
Emily, take over.
Okay, so what we're talking about, Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, and Mrs. Butterworth.
Yes.
And how these depictions are of the mammy stereotype of slavery, and yet being profit to make a big multi-billion-dollar business rich, while we're literally having depictions of slaves. There was no. I mean, I know Aunt Jemima was made like 100 years ago or something like that. I don't know about Uncle Ben or Mrs. Butterworth when they popped up, but it's like clearly there's no diversity, and there still hasn't been. And the fact that it took the death of like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Rayshard and Ahmaud for them to be like, oh, you know what? I think it's time to change. It's like, no, it shouldn't have been a thing in the first place. It should have never been branded like that in the first place.
I don't even know if it took that. I'm wondering if Black Twitter just stepped in and called them out. Because when Black Twitter gets involved and you get called out on Twitter,
oh my God,
you can't ignore it. You know what I mean?
Twitter, I love Black Twitter.
I love Black Twitter too. I do not do any other Twitter but Black Twitter. So like I mainly, because I'm the social media person for the JTC list, I mainly am signed in on Twitter as the JTC list. I have all Black Twitter, and I'm like, yes. So, but no, okay. There was a woman named Nancy Green, and she was the first of other Black women who they had based Aunt Jemima on, and even the name was from a minstrel show, right? Was the so
something like that? Yes. The character or the name came from like a minstrel show or something like that.
Yeah, and then she was under contract like for the rest of her life, and she never got paid anything. So she was under contract for them to get to use her, kind of like how they use, the Flo for that car insurance car insurance. What's her name, Flo? Yeah. Flo. That actress has seen some money. Yes. But this woman, she was born into slavery in Kentucky, and then she was a house cleaner. She was a house cleaner and a cook. So she didn't see anything, and then she died, and and the same. I believe the Uncle Ben that was based on a real man, actually, and his family hasn't seen anything. And these companies need to be responsible and pay, and I don't care how much it'll cost. This is irresponsible. It's 2020. And now they're like, oh, we'll change the image and we'll change the name. Is that enough? It's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough.
My thing, I can't believe Popeyes has not been called out yet. Because do you guys know the commercial that has been playing for the last 2 years of a Black woman saying that talking about being how I made Popeyes, and it's actually it was started by a white man. So
what?
Yes. Oh yeah. Big.
He's talking about the Louisiana style and wow.
No. And I cannot believe that this has not been called out yet because this. I mean, I know Popeyes is huge in the Black culture because everybody I know, plus me, we're Southern culture. I love Popeyes.
And they're biscuits, really.
Yeah, it was started by a white man.
Wow.
And then I was sitting here like 2 years ago when those commercials started, the Black woman saying, hey, talking about like how making like starting Popeyes and the mission behind it and all that. And I'm like, wait a second. That's not right, I mean, and you can say because the Colonel people,
that's false advertising, right? Is it not?
But I just can't believe it hasn't been. I think it is going to be called out soon. I think somebody's going to catch on and call it out. Like that is super important. But I was just like, when I saw those commercials, I was like, wait a second, that's not right. That's just not right.
Yeah,
and I do love Popeyes, but
the advertising is.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think
I'm hoping
just because that might be predominantly what your customer base is. I don't think you change the whole mission and do a blatant lie commercial.
Right.
I don't think that's what you do. Could have been done better.
A Black billionaire steps in and buys it, and there you go. End of job. You know what I mean? Save the biscuits.
Well, I mean, I know KFC does the commercials where they have like celebrities pretending to be the Colonel, but there was an actual Colonel. You know what I mean?
But is he not a plantation owner? Like that always kind of made me uncomfortable. Let's and him making up with Mrs. Butterworth. That was the most recent commercial, was it not? Like, oh my God. Hey, buddy. Yeah.
And it's funny because my dog's name is Mrs. Butterworth, and it's only because I like the name.
What is the history of Mrs. Butterworth? Do we know? Also a Black woman, right? A mammy.
Mm-hmm.
Based on a mammy.
Definitely.
We lost Dellany.
Dellany. She fell.
Dellany, where'd you go?
I don't know. She left. No, she said something about her phone
sound
went out. Yeah. Sound went out. Maybe that's why it was echoing all the time. But anyway, so if you have anything, guys, anything specific you'd like to tell our audience or let our audience know that's super important about what's going on, because we're all living in LA right now, and a lot of our audience isn't living in LA. So if there's anything important you'd like to tell them.
You know what is interesting? I just recently donated to. I mean, Ava DuVernay can do no wrong. I really do bow down at this woman. She is absolutely changing everything for everyone. Women of every ethnicity. She's really handing the mic is what she's doing. I don't know if you guys were a part of the Twitter-thon that she did about, I want to say a month ago, where she just opened up her Twitter account and had all these major directors speak directly to aspiring. You guys can look for the threads. I got a chance to tweet to Gina Blythewood Prince, and my heart just stopped. Like, it was an amazing, an opportunity to just be like, I love your films. I love your, how you incorporate emotion. How do you do it? How do you prep? And she responded right away. And it was just one of those things that's the magic of Ava DuVernay. She just recently started an initiative, a creative initiative called LEAP. And it's law enforcement protection, or law enforcement accountability program. What she wants to do, and she hasn't revealed her rollout yet, but what she wants to do is basically turn the lens. So we know who the victims are, right? We know Breonna Taylor, we know George Floyd, we know the victims, but we don't know the murderers because that's never seen. And she was saying what rocked her so much is the fact that this was not a body cam murder. This was literally someone filming, and you saw both of these faces in real time, right? One whose life just completely left us before our eyes. So she was saying that is the power of turning the camera, turning the lens around, and making sure that and every homeowner, you know the name of the murderer as much as you know who was murdered. And I think it's going to be powerful. I don't know. She wants to work with television, film, artists, people who do sculptures. I don't know how she's going to do this, theater, arts, whatever, but it's going to become more of and I trust her, it's going to be an initiative that basically turns the lens on the people that are committing the crimes and murdering our Black brothers and sisters. So I think it's interesting. We'll see what happens. But I was encouraged to see that's gonna flip the mic a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of lens, kind of ish, my mom made this really great point. She was like, literally, the invention of technology is why we are having these civil rights movements now. The fact that we have cameras now, the fact that we can just whip out a phone and record things that aren't unjust in the world, literally brings light. And listen, like, we all heard about all of these people because people had cell phones, they had cameras, they recorded. But think about back, like, early 2000s when we didn't have this, and how many other people just their murderers got away. There's still cops now, who knows? It's literally cameras, phones are literally changing the way we view the world, because now people cannot ignore it when it's right in your face.
And the accountability, it's a combination of that and the accountability of us who are going out protesting. Because if you remember, Rodney King was also killed on film. We saw those men and they were released. So, and people rioted, and then they were like, oh, whatever. I think I think your mom's absolutely right. It was your mom, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think that's what I heard. It's a combination. It's a combination of we caught this on film. It's now going live on social media. It wasn't just someone acquiring the tape, right? It's now live. You cannot question it. We're watching the police officers, with the batons. I watched a police officer take a rifle and point it at a woman with a little backpack, like a little Hello Kitty backpack, just aim right at her head and then drop it. Like, we're watching this in real time, and we're all about let's go protest.
I don't know what state this was in, but there was police they just pounced on some protester, and they were beating the protester. And then someone was filming it from a higher level in the building, and the police actually shot the window of that. Did you see that on Twitter?
I saw the police were shooting on balconies downtown Los Angeles. That was a week ago. And
they were shooting people filming through the windows. They're shooting at them. Yeah. And it's just like, you can't do that. You just can't do that.
And that's where our tax money's going. And it is.
But that's the thing, Dellany. They think they can because they know they can get away with it. They know people who have gotten away with it. They don't think they're going to get caught. They know the justice system is going to side with them.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean,
and that's also another thing. The cameras are great, but now we need to fix the justice system. We need to get the people who haven't done. Sorry, I was about to curse. Who haven't done anything? Did we curse on here or no?
I mean,
Mama pasted it on, so don't worry about that.
My mom's not watching.
But people who haven't done stuff, they know. And so it's time to get those people out and put in people who will hold murderers accountable.
Yep.
I think also with accountability, people are using their phones. Things are being recorded. I think now another question that's been brought up where we're seeing more people take action is some people are like, why did you stand there with a phone, right?
Right.
But I noticed in the George Floyd, and I hate that we're even having to talk about this like we're watching a TV show, but in the George Floyd video, which is so hard to watch, but there are bystanders, they are fighting with the cops, and they're saying, get off of him, stop it. And they're being accountable. And now I feel like with this anger that is coming from most of us in this country, I've talked to some other friends about this. I know who I am, and I know how scrappy I am. I've been scrappy when I lived in Hell's Kitchen in New York City, and I will jump in. I don't usually stand and argue. I jump in, and I am ready to throw it down. Like, I will put my body in front of whoever they're assaulting. And I know me, and I know I can say that I will do that because I'm a scrappy Southern girl. I will do that. But I think that's what people are realizing too, is that they're white people. White people are going to have to be this human shield and actually get in there. There's no more logic talking about it. Just get in there and stand in front of the person, the Black person or the person of color, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I was thinking, we're using cameras now, but do you guys remember in 2009 during the Iran election protests when Netta got killed, the girl Netta? Yes. Okay, so I remember that video vividly because nobody understood what was going on in Iran until that video got out. And that video shows an innocent woman who's standing, I think she was protesting, who was shot in the head, and you saw her die right there. Wow. And I think that is why we are having this right now, is not that they were being beaten, is that we saw two men being killed on camera. And I think when you finally see something like that, it's sad that it happens, but it takes something like that for people to go, something's fucking wrong. You know what I mean? And I think it would have happened a little bit earlier if there was a camera of the Breonna killing. I don't know if I really would want to see that because how many times she was shot. It had to be brutal. Yeah. And Dellany knows I'm like, it took two men getting killed before they even talked about a woman. A lot more, because I feel like she was put in a situation that was a total mistake, total mistake on their part, and to be shot that many times.
But please explain this to me. Why, even if you had, let's say she had illegal drugs, why open up 22 rounds? It's a crime.
But she was sleeping too. Like, why do you need to shoot someone 8 times when they're sleeping? They are asleep. What danger or threat are they to you?
She's asleep. They already had the 2 suspects in custody.
Yeah, that's right. They already have them. But
if I have drugs that are illegal, let's say I have, cocaine sitting here, which I do not. Let's say I do. Does that equal 22 rounds? That's what I'm saying. Like, the whole mentality is like that doesn't justify it. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit. And I don't be murdered for having illegal drugs. Not to mention
it's because the police are taught you don't do one, you empty your gun. And if you watch some TV shows and it's like Cops, they've just gotten rid of Cops.
Yeah.
Because
that was
I understand both sides because I am from a cop family of I've seen people not come home, but there still needs to be some training done. There's still some way. I mean, there was even a movie where they were talking about, the shooting somebody in the arm instead of killing them, instead of doing a lethal shot, shooting in the arm. And then the next scene was the woman did shoot him in the arm, but the guy still got the gun and killed somebody. I've seen cops talk about that scenario a lot, but I know that they are taught that because in the military, they're taught you empty your rounds. And that's not the way to do things, because innocent lives are getting taken. I mean, there's so many. The girl who had the bullet put through her in the middle of the night, sleeping. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's super sad.
But the cops
they don't know how to de-escalate anymore.
Yeah, the cops they can't. Here's my thing. Okay, they've got reasons why they're saying that they're doing what they're doing. But we have enough receipts, you guys. They're only doing it to Black people. So that's the problem. They're not shooting multiple rounds into white people. Right. They're just not. Right. So that's why it's like, this is what we know. And we were told that we have to do rounds, but you don't do it to white people. Right. So this is the systematic problem
here. So
here.
I will break in on this and just let you know that 2 years ago, a white friend of mine was killed the same way the guys in Wendy's was killed. The cops, they woke him up and it was out like at the Huntington Beach area. No, Camarilla area. He was sleeping on the beach. he probably had been drinking, and he was woken up. And when he wakes up and he didn't know who these people were, he got angry. And instead of them, trying to subdue him, they shot him instead and they killed him. And this is another thing that I think the cops need to work on too, is that, and he is a little bit mentally unstable, is that they are not taught how to deal with mentally unstable people either. Because there's not only, I know we're talking about all Black matter, but they don't understand when a mentally unstable person, sometimes there isn't a way to talk them down, but sometimes there is. Sometimes they don't even know what they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I do think that they do look a little bit differently at a white mental patient than a Black mental patient. I will say that. I do know that. I've seen it personally where one has been treating different from the other, but this whole mentality of shoot first and think later, it's got to be rethought. You know what I mean?
Katie, to your point, statistically, I have to say there really is there's no comparison. While yes, it does happen, and it's unfortunate, the amount of Black and brown people that are murdered on sight, you know what I mean? It far outweighs the white people that have been killed from triggers, you know what I mean? From cops being afraid, which is why I think it's important for us to, and I'm so curious to hear the conversation that happens within your family, especially with your dad, on just deconstructing the whole idea of it. Because I know I've read something this week that talked about what if instead of sending police to someone who is asleep on the beach or, asleep in their car at a Wendy's drive-through, what if instead of dialing 911, there was a number that you call where a professional mental health person comes and counsels them and gets them into a program, as opposed to just this knee-jerk reaction we have of anything that's off, anything that looks weird, anything that's scary, you call someone with a gun. As opposed to, can we possibly get, some sort of like a homeless person that's losing their mind, that's also, mentally ill? Is there something to putting our money and our city taxes towards more mental health programs, as opposed to just throwing them where we know they're just going to get, they'll have a place to sleep tonight and then they're going to be released back into the streets. I also in my family have had some mental health people that struggled with mental health, schizophrenia. One of my uncles who also happened to be Latino, and the combination is fierce. I know his intention, but to the rest of the world, they feared him. And especially if you're, a darker skinned Latino male. And it just seems like there's always police with a gun ready, as opposed to, I need a mental health worker when he's having a fit to help calm him down, as opposed to taking a gun. You know what I'm saying? That's where I feel like as a society have to take back this mentality that just a person with a gun needs to come handle our fireworks. A person with a gun needs to come take care of the guy that's screaming on the corner. There's different, programs we need to start putting our money towards.
Yeah.
That'll help.
The fact of the matter is if you bring a gun to any situation, there is a potential for someone to get shot. So if there is and police aren't, at least at the moment, they're not trained to handle a mental health situation. Right. You don't have to bring a gun to a person on the street that's having mental health problems. You don't need to. There's other resources that we have available that just, if they had the funding, could go out and assess the situation and help that person in need. And I think I read an article, like there is a state or a couple of states that are like, you can call 911, but they're not going to send the cops to a certain situation. They're going to send like a doctor, a mental health specialist, someone who is trained in that area that can help and de-escalate whatever situation that's happening, where you don't need to bring a gun to someone sleeping at a Wendy's.
Right. And I was actually talking about like reform back around 2 years ago, when that live video came out of the guy getting shot by the police officer in his car, and his girlfriend was taking live video of it. Do you remember that? And I can't remember his name.
Wasn't that?
But I know. Was that? Yeah. And do you remember the cop? Do you remember how nervous the cop was?
Yeah.
Because He didn't have control of himself.
Right.
And that's really what it is, because you have to also look at these cops that they're putting in. They don't have control of their emotions.
Right.
And their emotions drive what they do.
Right.
And you have to not, it's not that you have to be emotionless. You just have to like put a shield around it and understand that you have a lethal weapon in your hand, and you have to have, this is one thing I was taught by my father. 2 things. Guns are not a toy. I was never allowed to have toy guns. And 2, you have to be responsible for that gun, because that is a lethal weapon that can kill somebody. And you're going to, because not only do you have to worry about if you kill somebody and what you're going to have to go through, but what about that person's family? And, you know, you're going to be responsible for a dad not coming home, a mom not coming home, a mom, you know, a brother, a sister. And I think that's another thing with the cops nowadays, is that they're not being trained on their own lethal weapon. You know, you can have I have a permit. My mom has a permit. You can have a gun, you know. It's just that you have to know that that's a responsibility.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that some cops are lacking, is the responsibility of having a lethal weapon in their hand. And that to me, that's a big problem too.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm okay with, you know, as far as our technology advancing, I'm down with a Minority Report situation where we have what are they, cogs or something? And then they foreshadow the people who are about to commit the crimes. I'm okay with that.
Oh,
and
what about Demolition Man? Remember Demolition Man?
That would go down. I didn't see that one. Was that the same thing?
No, the Demolition Man had Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, and like they both. And this is another thing. Look, white cop, what was Sylvester Stallone? The black fugitive was Wesley Snipes. You know, you had a Wesley. That's another thing. But then they were caught, they were frozen, and they were brought back in the future when there was no crime. Like they changed the police system and all that kind of stuff. But that's another thing. If you actually really think about that, what if the roles were reversed and Sylvester Stallone was the fugitive and Wesley Snipes was the cop? Would that movie gotten made back then?
Doubt it.
Probably not.
No.
Not if there was a conversation of Julia Roberts playing Harriet Tubman. Not in that way.
Oh my God.
Right?
What that just mind boggles me, but that people
That's
have
a whole other topic.
Yeah, who came to the board? Like, y'all know how hard it is to get into a pitch room to pitch anything, and who got that far to pitch it at the table? Julia Roberts would make a great Harriet Tubman.
Who had the balls to even who said that with their whole chest? I would really like to know. Was like, I have a great idea, you guys.
Right.
A white woman as Harriet Tubman, like.
Because she's a star, right? She's a vehicle. She's a vehicle. It's like, oh my God. My God. Yeah.
Awful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, so the reason why I've had to keep bouncing out is because I keep getting phone calls, because we did run over, and what happens is it keeps muting me and I can't talk. That's why I have to keep.
Sorry.
You tell people to quit calling you. We're busy. We're having a good show, but
it's a great show.
Yeah, I do want to go say, give us about a couple of more minutes, because I want to go over our new thing, because this is called Fat TV. So, Dellany, please introduce our new topic that we're going to have every week.
Okay, it is called obesity. So, everybody get their tea. I saw Tanya got her tea. And we are spilling some tea concerning fat phobia, right? So I wanted to ask the ladies, the guests, have y'all noticed when you're watching film and TV, do you notice that that's the one area, that's the one marginalized group that is all across the board, everybody feels it's okay to keep writing the fat jokes or, reaching for that low-hanging fruit? Do you guys ever notice that in every single thing you watch, or have you not noticed it?
No, I mean, I know for a fact it happens in marketing campaigns. That's my world, right? And we're looking at photos to use or examples of women to use for campaigns. And there has just been flat out statements about it. Oh no, she's too big. Nope, can't that'll right. It's real. But on the same token, she's too dark. She's too, you know what I mean? It goes hand in hand with what is the ideal female.
Right.
And it's usually thin and white, and that's what sells. Because
or that new term now called slim thick.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that?
What is slim thick?
That's them being like, oh, we have a bigger girl, but like, okay, so she has like a zero waist, and like it's for some people that's their natural body, but it's like either you're skinny or you're slim thick, and if you're not in either one of those, they're like, oh,
yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and we were on
the
show. Curvy is
actually
not even curvy.
What's that? Wait, what, Casey?
Oh, sorry. Did you go?
Oh, no,
I was saying they say they want. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, that's right. You can't hear anything. I was just saying when they put a casting out and they want curvy, but it's really actually not curvy. It's like maybe a little bit of curve. You know what I mean?
Yes!
And you're like,
you're
like, wait a second, you said curvy.
I have been casting in. Yes, I've been in auditions where it's like curvy, and I go in and I am literally the biggest girl there, and I'm like,
yeah. They'll say like curvy, but then to protect themselves, they also put must be in shape, and then that's also
they're looking for a fit girl.
But that's also a stupid thing because you can't judge someone by their outside appearance to know if they're in shape or not. Like,
exactly.
like how many 00 people do we know who are smoking cigarettes and doing drugs as we speak? Like, you can't. That doesn't mean anything. So, I was also. We were talking on the other show last night that I'm doing with my sketch comedy group, but Keke Palmer, she put out a music video called Thick. And Keke Palmer, who we all love, we love Keke, but she ain't thick. She just isn't.
I saw that video. I saw that.
What were your thoughts? Were you like, what is...
I was like, where's the thickness?
I didn't understand it. She was talking about being thick throughout the whole thing, we're not shaming her body either. It's just weird that she would do a song about thick when she's not thick. It's just weird. That would be like me doing a video, skinny, 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 skinny. It's weird.
Yeah. Like I thought it was fun, but I think there could have been more shapes and sizes in that music video.
Yeah. Oh,
so
totally.
Emily, did you see what Jennifer said that I put up? And tell them about the one commercial once that you did that broke that mold. From your friend Jennifer?
Wait, Jen, what are you talking about?
You didn't fit the mold or something? Was there some audition you went on where you didn't fit the mold?
I think it was, okay, I'm not going to say, but Dellany, I think I was talking to you about it at work. I think that's the one Jen's talking about, where I literally read it. They were like, oh, you need to be a size, whatever. Like, and my, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, my weight and my waist size, it all fluctuates so much. And I was like, I haven't been this size in a good old 6 whole months, but I was like, I'm not gonna get the part, whatever. Yeah. I went into the audition, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm like, yeah, they're definitely not gonna pick me. I haven't been this size. I'm like, God knows how long. Jokes on them. And I got it, but I know, I was like, yay! But I was like, and I was like texting you because I had a fitting, and I was like, yo, they're about to find out that I'm not this size. I'm scared. But you know what? They had to go out and buy something that fit me, and I still did that commercial. So I mean,
nice.
They can buy stuff for you. They just don't want to.
Right.
Because they're lazy.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
America is lazy.
It's time. It's time to retell the story, right? And I think that's part of what I think you are doing incredibly. It's turning this upside down and stop with the only one size is what's appealing, right, to marketing, and that's the only thing I can really speak to. I mean, that and entertainment, because we're constantly being projected with images, and we're being told what is attractive and what we're trying to be, and that whole narrative has got to change. That's all there is to it, you know.
How do you guys feel about those one size fits all?
Right.
Brandy Melville.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've run out of time. We've gone a good hour and a half because this was a great show. I think this was one of our best shows. I definitely thank you guys for coming aboard, and we had a great discussion.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody's point of view. Is there anything that Emily can and both of you tell everybody how they can find you online?
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I'm at Tanya Loves Orange. I think it was on my screen at one point, LUVS Orange on Twitter. And yeah, I'm constantly retweeting and tweeting and doing my thing. And
she's a tweeter.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then I'm Emily. You can find me on Facebook, Emily Grace. I have a YouTube channel, Emmeline Grace, and my Instagram is Emmeline with 2 eyes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yay.
And you know, KT and Dellany with Fat TV. We're at Fat TV World on all socials. And we do have fattvworld.com. And just so you guys know, we have some merchandise coming up that we've been working on. We can't wait to get that to the crew. And thank you guys for showing up today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Emily.
Thanks to everyone who watched.
So fun.